Sure, thanks for having me here. My name's Renita Glazer. I've been to Qualtrics before. I see some familiar faces, which is nice, but it's been many years. I work in Visa's growing design research organization where we help evaluate Visa's payment applications and products, informing sort of the user interface design, content, accessibility, and strategy for the broader Visa organization. Prior to joining the team, the design research org did primarily qualitative research. I was brought into the group to add more quantitative capabilities and mixed methods strategy. So it's been great.
Sure, my name is Julia Durgee. I'm the Senior Manager of Omnichannel Marketing and Insights at Beech-Nut Baby Food, a maker of high-quality baby food, upstate New York, since 1931. I was brought in as a consumer analytics manager, but COVID did its number, and the great resignation happened. Our business priorities shifted. The marketing team entirely refreshed itself, head people and headcount-wise, and so I was then asked to manage our digital media, because I had that background as well. So now I'm kind of straddling both worlds, and all my digital media expertise I learned at LL Bean was great, but it was a painful transition to go to e-commerce company where you get your data every hour in one source of truth, whether it's a phone order, a retail-based order, or a web order. They're all going back to the one database. Now, as a marketer, I have to wait 4 weeks for transactions that happen. They're anonymous, and they happen all over the United States. So that's not as fun. But Beech-Nut is definitely, I think, hopefully benefiting from this e-commerce world that I came from, that I'm bringing all those skill sets to. Yeah.
Well, thank you both again for being here. With some great questions lined up for today. And to kick us off, I want to ask a little bit about how you got your start in research. And I think that the reason for this is some of the questions we have coming out of me. Both of their backgrounds really bring unique experiences to the table. So, Julia, let's start with you.
Sure. I have a funny story. My dad was a market research professor at RPI, an engineering school upstate, and he also did consulting projects for GM and Pringles, and so I would make my rock and roll mixtapes as a teenager on his focus group tapes. So I'd be running, and my music would stop, and then I'd have to listen to people talk about how they would act if they were a potato chip. So I'm very used to weird or qualitative approaches to marketing. I got my quant formal training in business school, but also, again, at LL Bean, where I did a lot of more quantitative, via Qualtrics, new product testing, catalog designs, and just a bunch of cool messaging. Yeah.
Wonderful. Should we ask you what rock and roll you were listening to back then?
Oh,
Radiohead.
yeah.
Great. And Renita, a little bit about your market research experience over the years.
Sure. Given my graduate studies were in research, design, and statistics, I always fashioned myself more as a methodologist or an evaluation specialist as opposed to a market researcher. But I'm getting more experience these days. I started out taking a position at the University of Washington helping communities plan prevention programming. And when I got tired of the grant writing rat race that was involved with that position, I looked for my next adventure and to my surprise landed in the private sector. So I went to work for a bank, some of you may have heard of it, Washington Mutual, in an internal research group there. It was a fabulous experience, and I got to use my skills in a whole different way. I didn't realize private sector needed research. So it was really fun helping clients across the company use both qualitative research methods and quantitative research methods. We did focus groups, ideation studies, survey work, product development, marketing mix modeling. It was really immensely satisfying to see research get used to make decisions. And so I've stayed in the private sector. I joined Visa's research design group last fall, which is a little departure from what I had been doing. But have been enjoying integrating sort of my toolkit with the outstanding user experience and design work that this group is doing.
Great. So to move into some of the questions that we prepared for you today, Julie, I want to start with, something you had mentioned was that Beech-Nut has really started to become more of a brand-led company. With that, we're probably all kind of heard about some of the moving trends in the baby industry. And I'm sure, I'd love for you to kind of dive into some of those and some of the underlying research that you're conducting to really stay on top of those trends.
Sure. So the trends that we can see in our monthly IRI data that, frankly, everyone else can see, our competitors can see, and any mom going to the Walmart or local grocery store can see, are the growth in organic, growth premiumization of baby food. Parents are willing to spend more per ounce now, as well as snacks. So the teethers, they look like dog toys. There's so many new inventions, like little baby puffs. There's so much innovation there that category is just on fire, as well as variety packs. So instead of buying a single item, graduate up, get the value pack. And this is all fine and good, and it's all in the sales data. But what you won't see is the growth of baby-led weaning. I have plenty of friends who said, oh, I skipped baby food. I just fed what was on my plate, What you won't see is subscriptions. So there are a lot of ankle biters out there, like Yumi and Cerebelli, who are just venture capital backed and pounding Google and Facebook and TikTok. But their data is not in the sales data. And then parent burnout is another huge trend we know that's going on that's totally affecting their category purchases. And so one worry I have, if our leadership, some people on the leadership team are still so sales data focused and are not willing to invest in research to find these behavioral trends that will never show up in the sales data. And a big worry now is, I saw an 8451 person here, so I know that someone from Kroger is here. Kroger, many retailers ask that you, as a selling CPG brand, buy their data so that you can then analyze it and pitch back why Kroger should buy more of your items. Because look, according to your own data, if you increase one more SKU, then you'll increase velocity or blah, blah, blah. Now Walmart has a new data tool called Luminate, and it's just another big business vertical to be in them, to selling data gold to please Wall Street to make more revenue for themselves. So I'm worried that sales data is going, and the money that is obligated to go to these retailers because of their Wall Street commitments, that's going to eat into their qualitative research budgets. Heads up.
Yes. But I think with you saying that, obviously, to be able to sell internally then to how do we, run research in parallel to this data, yes. I think at that point, there's got to be ways to be scrappy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To use your own words, right?
Yes.
What are some of the ways that you bring that kind of scrappy yet strategic research into the business?
Sure. My favorite tool of all time was Facebook Audience Insights. It was the best kept secret on the internet. But then Cambridge Analytica killed it. So thank you. I'm still upset about that one. Google Trends is one of my favorite free, scrappy tool. If you know how to read it right, and you really have to take time to understand what you're looking at and how to explain it to others, it's invaluable. Google Alerts. So my favorite alert now is one I call TikTok baby food. So I can track when a blogger is writing an article about a trending TikTok that's in my category. So I'll always be emailed that thing. Zoom interviews with moms we did super cost-effective interviews earlier this year. Asking your agency for ComScore data. So where are your target audience? Where are they spending their time across retail or across media properties? is hopefully a free ask if the media agency is already buying the data anyway. Asking your customer service team, hey, what have you been hearing on the phones? Have we been getting any questions about this? My customer insights manager buddy loves the Category Management Association. She's gotten so much out of that if you're a CPG, and it's a cost-effective cost-effective membership. And then podcasts. There's a podcast for everything. If you're on a drive and you don't know about something and you want to learn more, if you search it now, it's there. So yeah, those are my favorite scrappy tips.
Thank you. So I guess to flip the coin a bit here, Renita, Visa has been for quite some time doing quantitative research to really stay in tune with the shifting opinions and trends in the industry. However, you sit a little bit more on the user testing side of the business, and generally that's more qualitative in nature. You were brought in, though, to really kind of lead the mixed methods approach. Can you talk to some of the ways that you've been able to kind of encourage the adoption of that at Visa?
Yeah, well, for job security, it's important that I'm able to do that. So, but I think as most of you realize, qualitative and quantitative research is a natural pairing for deep insights and deep understanding. So on the qualitative side, design research focuses on the why, using usability testing and interviews, diary studies, whereas the quantitative research is used to explore what, which one, how many, and primarily through survey work and data analytics. So using these techniques together is powerful and provides robust results, right? So and this allows stakeholders to make informed decision. It also helps minimize biases that creep in when any one or any single study or single method is used. So in terms of adopting a mixed methods approach, I like to think that the results speak for themselves. So it's been a lot of sort of socializing and educating, our partners about what's possible. So once they understand and they've gotten a taste of what mixed methods can offer them, I've pretty much sold them on that. So, but still have a lot more socializing to do.
Right. And I think, nowadays, obviously, you see the sea of researchers out there outside the door. Obviously, there's ways to be able to do the mixed methods approach that still allow for that agility, to move quickly, to be iterative throughout that process. I know certainly we see an increase from brands asking, how can we do mixed methods and remain agile still? And, it brings up the next topic around, what are the questions that you think of when you're reviewing your toolkit, right? We hear that word a lot right now, and everyone's starting to build their toolkit if they haven't already, or, they're looking to make and start to bridge that gap to being more agile within the business. But I always tell clients, I'm like, really think about the questions that you need to bring to the suppliers. There's a lot of tech suppliers out there, and, just asking them, hey, tell me about your capabilities isn't probably going to be as helpful as you want it to be. You really need to think about what are the objectives, the initiatives that are happening within the organization. Some of the examples we hear a lot are, we're going into innovation sprints and we're being told that we need to move so much faster, or we have to be iterative throughout that process. What are some of the approaches that you're doing to help your clients with that? Some of the other ones are, we need always-on research, right? Yeah, we do our brand tracking and awareness work, but we need to really be able to stay on top of our consumers and the ever-changing competitive landscape. We just don't have the bandwidth to do this internally. How are your clients able to do that, right? So get very specific in the questions. So I challenge each of you to do that the next time you're on the phone with your suppliers. But let's hear from the panelists as well as to their thoughts. So, let's start, Renita, with you. What were some of the key things that you look for, some of the value drivers that you have found with partnering with research suppliers?
Yeah, I think I've had a lot of experience over the years, and for this position, I really needed a partner where I had a robust, straightforward platform where I could quickly build surveys, launch them, and analyze the data. I had never had the opportunity to work with AYTM, but in prior positions, I've had the opportunity to work with different platforms. And they may do one or two of those things well, but never have they been able to do all three. So in AYTM's survey tool, it's a really intuitive platform where you can build surveys from very simple, to more complex. The question options are, span that range. There's piping. There's just a lot of capability. But really, what wowed me was their in-platform analytics. So this allowed findings to be turned around quickly. And in past positions, I had to export data, import it into SPSS, write the code, interpret the output, right? Put it into, some visual format to help people understand it. That takes a lot of time. As a one-person quant in this design research org, I needed things to be done quickly. So I was delighted that this could all be done. Again, never having used AYTM or had access to it, to be able to get up, build a survey, analyze the data, in a matter of, probably about 12 days. It was something I had never experienced before. The other nice thing for me is having access to their knowledgeable set of researchers. It's always best as a researcher to be able to collaborate, make sure you're not missing something, be able to talk through with somebody to make sure your thinking is correct. And so I was able to partner with them in that capacity as well, which is really helpful.
How many people here think that when they're on the search for a new platform, that they have to have the full skill set to be able to use that up front? Everyone thinks that, nope, I don't know anything about quantitative research, designing, programming. I'll just get in there and do it on my own. I think you're all being shy. But having that support is critical. Being able to call your partner to be able to say, what, I really want to do this on my own, but I'm not exactly sure how to build a max diff right now. Can you help me with that? I think that support has been probably one of the areas that we hear from our clients most as to truly, what helps us stand out in the market. Julia, any thoughts from you?
Everything she said. Plus, I'm glad you said max diff, because I got halfway through Thinking Fast and Slow, the book by Daniel Kahneman, I think he won a Nobel Prize for behavioral economics. And by our chief of insights said, AYTM has democratized these more advanced techniques, bringing it to brands at a DIY at a lower cost and quicker insights. And that's why they're such a strong vendor for us. Let's see, other nice things to ask. And I think one day would be API integration back into one day, like when Beech-Nut has a robust CRM system and has a direct-to-consumer shipping ability. It would be cool to get results back tied to that person for modeling and on-file segmentation. That's the future. And then easy lawyer process too. Like if it's really a quick signing of NDAs.
You can solve that one.
I know. That's what I look for also.
That's great. And so that's actually a really good segue into kind of thinking about the future. At AYTM, we have an innovation lab where we're always constantly listening, right? Listening to our clients, listening to the industry, and trying to be one step ahead of what's to come. And Julia, you had brought up, during a really powerful conversation with our team, the idea of foresights. Obviously, this is nothing new, but the idea of it and how to tackle it, and what can the providers out here, what can we do when it comes to foresights? But can you share some of your thoughts on that?
Sure. I don't think I have to spend time explaining why foresights is important, because I think hopefully you all know and have heard it already here. At LLB, and I was asked to be a foresights analyst, so bringing insights from the future to a 100-year-old company who was very adverse to change and risk. I was sent to Texas to attend a 1-week training for my certificate at the University of Houston's Center for Professional Foresights. And I was there with members of the military, people who were auto union workers, as well as hard goods industries who need to plan 10, 15, 20 years in the future. And there I learned that foresights isn't some hip oracle sitting in the corner making trend reports and telling you this is what the future will be like, because no one reads those reports. No one. And I witnessed this at my new company where insights is more important, and they still don't read the trend reports. But it's all about workshops. I've heard it a bunch at these seminars. Like, if you do a workshop and you disseminate the trends and you get people using their own gears to imagine futures that are different from today's, then that's what's going to drive change. And maybe we would have anticipated the need for vertical video this year because Instagram was totally going to copy TikTok. Maybe we would have anticipated the mango shortage. That, like we could have planned ahead a little bit better if we thought more about the darn future. But it'll get you in trouble as a marketer, because I'm reading a book now called The Genesis Machine by Amy Webb of the Future Today Institute. And there's a chapter all about how GMOs are going to be part of our daily lives. We are going to eat GMOs. They're going to make us healthier. And a tomato can be engineered to have double the vitamin C. So I'm all in the yay GMO camp. Oh yeah, farmers actually are supportive of some GMOs because it'll allow for fewer pesticides to be sprayed on the fields. But in the baby category, GMO is still the villain. I cannot go out and say, we have GMOs, or I still have to scream, all of our products don't have GMOs in them. Even though I know it's wrong, it's true, they don't have GMOs, but I know, oh my gosh, I'm perpetuating this fear mongering, and half of people probably don't know what a GMO is anyway. They just know that it's the boogeyman. So that's where being in the future is not.
So how do we work on foresights without scaring everybody internally about what's to come?
Or being
that's a big challenge.
Yeah.
So Renita, I don't know if you have any thoughts on foresights or just in general some of the things that you're tracking when you think about the future and what else you can bring in to help support you with Visa.
Yeah, I think I'm a little egocentric on the foresight stuff. I'm thinking about, gosh, what could I use in my role now that would help me do better research? And I think, ideally what I would like to see is more qualitative user research integrated with quantitative research. There are a lot of qualitative platforms out there that do a great job, right, in when you're doing interviews and user testing and stuff, and they might have a small component that does quantitative. You can throw in a quantitative question there, but nothing at the level that you need to do something robustly or to make bigger decisions on. What I would like to see is a strong quant platform integrate some usability testing into its capability, or even just I'll include an open-ended in there, but it'd be really nice to have that person provide a video as to why they provided a rating for something or what was frustrating about that concept that they just, went through. So, sorry, it's a little opposite from what you went into, but again, a little egocentric.
Also, all the suppliers in the room, there's your next best idea.
It might already be there, so if you know it, let me know.
I know it's obviously an offering that, a lot of the suppliers work through and think through, and I think that, we all want to obviously be the best in what we do. So I think bringing together qual and quant is really kind of, it can be challenging, right? Because they're two very unique things, and to do qual in an agile setting and to be able to do that well is obviously very, very different. But so I know we have a few minutes for questions. I think we left 5 minutes for questions. Curious if anyone has any thoughts or questions. Agile research, or anyone want to share any insight into foresights or new innovation that they're looking for? Sure.
I was just going to ask how, the current economic environment is impacting your businesses
do you have any thoughts on that? Maybe just to recap the question a bit too.
I think executives are more concerned about it right now than consumers, at least in the payments category. So I was looking to Julia because I thought she might have more to say about it.
Yep. We're obviously seeing, all my media budgets were slashed, which I think is pretty common because of our cost of goods or transportation and cost of goods, just all these supply chain pressures. And so, and then, as far as like how the consumer will shop differently, weirdly, baby food is a pretty insensitive or inelastic category. And it's been very strange. Someone showed a chart of toddler snacks at Walmart, and you showed the average price kept going up, average price per ounce, and then so did the sales. Like it was you'd think it would be a traditional relationship, but no, it just keeps going. And I wonder when it'll reach a peak, and if we are to anticipate more promotional behaviors out there. But no, costs are just keep going up, and they just keep buying them. I think out of fear as well, knowing that the formula shortage has sparked fear in pantry loading. I think pouches are so hard to buy now from the plastic packaging perspective that who's ever in stock will win that week at the shelf. So I bet parents are just buying as well. It's a very weird time.
You're in a unique industry along with maybe the spirits industry where price increase, but sales continue to increase.
What would you each say is your biggest research challenge today?
Time.
Yeah, not being able to do everything not being able to meet all the requests that are coming in. I'll put a plug in. I have been given the okay to hire a quant researcher. So if you know anybody, I could use them. But yeah, I think, and then, on the flip side of it, I hate burdening respondents. So again, I'm looking for platforms that, make it easy on respondents to provide, good insights.
I think there was one more question, yeah.
What is the fastest response time data that you use for highest frequency data?
Say that again?
What is the fastest response time or highest frequency data that you use?
The fastest response time.
Like daily or data that turns around, consumer responses that turn around like within a day?
Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, I see what you're saying. So yeah, user testing, again, these platforms are pretty phenomenal. You can put out a request and have things filled the same day, right? And so people can, go through whatever you're asking them to go through. Survey data is much quicker than it used to be. I have to balance on, like, if I'm going out with a survey in the US, I have to balance for region, because if I put it out in the morning, I'm going to get all the responses from the East Coast, right? So, yeah, it's fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Lisa, for you, for data that you're consuming, you're building all the analytics and analysis, who's using that besides you? Are you directly sharing that with product managers? Are they accessing it themselves to look at the dashboards and the data and drilling down to it? So besides you, who else is using the platform and how are they using it?
Well, I'm the primary one using the AYTM platform. Our group is is an internal resource. So it could be designers that are using the data. It could be engineers that are using the data. But I'm collating that data for them and giving them the results.
So they're not accessing it themselves through the platform. You are pushing it to them in one way or another.
Yeah, no, there's probably a better way to do it, but that's
I was
where
gonna
it's
say,
at right now.
But they certainly could if they wanted to. various clients will kind of shelter their data because they don't want other internal stakeholders or teams to go into it and maybe slice and dice it the wrong way. But you can also put various filters and permissions on that. But there's a variety of different ways to share data internally via dashboards and PowerPoint decks. The list pretty much goes on. So it ultimately comes down to what is it that they need to see, right? What's the insights that they need to gather from that? And I think I got the stop sign. So thank you all so much.
Good job. Yeah.